Now I'll be using the private VM to upload the file. So before going into the private VM itself, let me go ahead and change the configuration. I'll disable public access completely. And if I disable it, you know that I'll not be able to see the file also in the container. So let's go ahead and look at the container. I should not be able to see it because it has been disabled. So it took some time. Now I'm not able to see any of the blobs inside of the container. And this is my private VM. Now to work on the private VM, I need to install AZCopy and Azure CLI both. But the problem is that it is in a private subnet. So my private VM will not be able to access internet. So if it cannot access internet, it cannot download AZCopy command line tool. So I'll have to do some special changes. I'll have to change the VM and I'll have to create a NAT gateway in the private subnet. So this is my VNet, and if you go to the subnets, this is my private subnet. And here there's an option of attaching a NAT gateway. Right now, I do not have any NAT gateway. So I'll have to create a NAT gateway and then I'll attach the NAT gateway here. And you see the note here that a NAT gateway is recommended for outbound internet access from subnets. So you'll have to edit the subnet to add the NAT gateway. So let me go ahead and create a NAT gateway. This is the resource manager and I'll search for NAT gateway. And this is the resource. It's the same subscription and this would be the resource group. This would be the name of the NAT gateway. Then I have availability zone. I do not want to provide any availability zone as such. Then TCP timeout idle. You can keep it as 4 minutes. Then I have outbound IP. I'll be creating a new public IP address and this is going to be the name and it would be created automatically. Next, I'll have to select the subnet. For that, of course, I need the VNet, which is 3IAM VNet 1, and I'll be selecting the private subnet from the VNet, which is 3IAM VNet 1 private subnet. That's it. Let us go ahead and review and create the NAT gateway. All right, it has been created. Let's go to the private subnet again. Now I'll have to attach the NAT gateway here, which is this one. Let's save it. And once the NAT gateway is attached, this subnet has outbound access to internet. It does not have inbound access. It has only outbound access, meaning even now we cannot log into the private VM from my machine. It has to be via a Bastion host. So let's use the Bastion host to connect to the private VM. This is the user and the password. And now I'm connected to the private VM. Now let's install the AZCopy command line tool. I have downloaded this, so I'm able to download because it has outbound internet connection. So you see the AZCopy command line tool has been downloaded. Now I should be able to upload a file. First of all, let me create a very simple file. So this is the file privatevm1.txt, and now I'll be uploading this file to the storage account and using the same command, same SAS token that you had used earlier. And this should be successful. As you can see, it has been completed, and the way it was done using the private endpoint. I cannot go ahead and see it right now because the access is still not there. So there's no public access as such. So that's why I'm not able to see it. But this file was uploaded, which is privatevm1.txt. Let me enable public access and then try to access this again. Try to look at the container whether it has been uploaded or not from the private VM. All right. So now I can see this and there should be an additional file from the private VM, which is this one. So this is how we can use the public endpoint firewall rules and the private endpoint to upload files from local machine, from Azure public VM and Azure private VM to storage account. So all the testing were done, including the private VM. I was able to upload the file when the private endpoint was there. Now to do the final testing, I'll go ahead and delete the private endpoint, which is this one. Now let me delete this. Now if I delete this, I should not be able to upload any more file from this VM. Let's name it as private VM2 and use the copy command to upload the file. Sorry, I have the, so let me disable the public access also. And now let's try to upload this file, and we are already getting the authentication failed error because there is no private endpoint. So as you can see, we use the private endpoint to upload files to the storage account using private endpoint. So in the first case, we had public endpoint disabled or public access disabled, and this VM used the private endpoint to upload the file in the storage account. But for file number 2, it was able to upload the file in the storage account even though it is a private VM, and there are two reasons for it. The first reason is that the public access was enabled from internet, and the second reason, and the most important one, is that we have NAT gateway attached to the private subnet. So if we remove NAT gateway, then the upload would not have been possible. So if you remove NAT gateway and then try to upload it, it would not be possible. Then finally, I removed the public access, so that's why it is not possible. So go ahead and do it yourself by removing the NAT gateway. I hope you have followed along the entire hands-on. So I would recommend you that you remove the NAT gateway, keep the public access, and then try to upload the file from the private VM to the storage account. Of course, the private endpoint should not be there. Alright, so all the testing are done. Whatever output you see here, these are correct. So please go ahead and do your testing also. Now let us proceed to the next topic.